Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jason Up. It's the New Age Revolution. It's Sunday. It's the Power Hour. Beautiful Sunday morning here with the daylight savings time. We're all up early, even though that makes no sense. It makes no sense. There's no reason to wake up early on daylight saving time, especially the fall back part. It just looks like you're up early, but no, they were indeed up early. So I'm down here at 9 o'clock in the morning making this video for you because I just needed the comfort of the room. And it's weird, like you're upstairs, the kids are fighting over what they want for breakfast. Their friend messages, apparently everybody was up early. Their friend messages them at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Hey, you want to play Fortnite? So they're up doing that. There's chaos all around the house, and I just sink down here, and as soon as I open the door and turn on the light, I'm gone. I'm in a good place. So let's do the Power Hour. So this is going to be a very special Power Hour. A bit of a special edition of the Power Hour. For the first time in the Power Hour's history, we have a question from a friend of the channel who wants me to address something going on in his life. And I'm honored to do so. Most of you know that I am I'm in the mental health field. I have a mental health therapy practice, mental health and addiction. And I've been doing that for 25 years, my whole career. So, I'm self-employed, and I talk to hundreds of people a year. So maybe more than that. 5 a day, 6 a day. Do the math. I always want to say thousands of people a year, but that might not be true. So anyway, we're gonna address that a little later in the show, and it's intense. So be ready, be prepared. Get your popcorn, your Gatorades. But first, and trust me, everybody who's sent questions in, they are in the hopper. They are in the hopper. No question will be lost. My friend Brandon appears to be a Dream Team fan. Greg Valentine brewed his beefcake. Several of his questions are regarding the Dream Team. So we're gonna jump a little light here, and then we're gonna get into the deep stuff. Brandon says, what are your thoughts of the Dream Team, Valentine and Beefcake, breaking up? Well, I think I'll have more thoughts about it as I watch it happen. Happens in 87. Around 87, because there was the build up for WrestleMania 3 with Beefcake becoming the barber. So I don't have any thoughts from childhood about it. I liked the Dream Team. I thought I thought on paper it's a silly team because you got Greg Valentine, who's just in a league of his own, and then you have Beefcake. So I guess you got serious and gimmicky together. I don't know. I like if you're gonna take a wrestler like Valentine, you got to put him with somebody, that works. The Dream Team worked fine, but I would have liked to see Valentine with Orton, Valentine with Morocco even. It's kind of like Arn and Tully. You wouldn't put Arn Anderson with, Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, right? Or Sting. You did Arn and Tully, then you did Arn and Bobby Eaton, then you did Arn and Larry Zbyszko, I think. And those are like the best tag teams ever, right? Valentine and Beefcake. I did like I liked the breakup angle. I liked that the haircut, the accidental haircut turned Beefcake into the barber. I always love how in wrestling guys get so mad when their hair is cut and they're just their lives are over, They're just, they're like holding it. They're like totally freaking out that their hair's cut. He says, "What did you think of the new Dream Team, Valentine and Bravo?" Bravo's. I didn't. Again, it's been so long since I've seen it, and I can't wait to watch it unfold and then have adult opinions about it. I don't think I was ever that impressed with Bravo. I don't think I ever really liked him. I just think he was too bulky and he couldn't do much. I don't know. I was never a big Dino Bravo fan. I guess it's a little bit better of a wrestler than Beefcake to put with Valentine. It makes a little bit more sense, but I didn't care much for the new Dream Team all the time because I think Johnny V was with them, and I can't stand Johnny V. And then Frenchie Martin came in, and he's pointless. So I'll be able to think more about it as it's happening. Says, "Are you surprised that the new Dream Team never had a match with Strikeforce, considering Valentine and Santana had matches versus Can-Am Connection before Santana?" I think I know what you mean there. Am I surprised? Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I don't have. It's not fresh, so I gotta see. Yeah, I mean, if Valentine and Bravo are being pushed as a tag team, then yeah, you would expect them to have gone against Strikeforce during that tag team title run. "Do you think if King Kong Bundy had stayed in the WWF for a few more months, he could have been a nice addition to the Royal Rumble?" 88, 89. When I print these off, this annoys me so much. When I print these off, I lose so much. That is so frustrating. So he's asking if King Kong Bundy had stayed in the WWF for a few more months, he could have been a nice addition to the first Royal Rumble. And I'm sure there was part 2 to that question, but it cuts off in the printing. I got to stop printing these, or I have to cut and paste them because I'm losing parts of the question, and that's not good. Not good. Yeah, I think Bundy. So the Royal Rumble was what, 89, 88. Was it 88? Was the first Rumble the one with Duggan winning, and then 89 was the first pay-per-view one. Maybe, but yeah, I think if Bundy had stuck around. I don't know. See, it's all dependent on what the WWF is going to do with the guy. I mean, when Bundy came back, it was nothing. Him against The Undertaker was an extremely unbelievable match. Like unbelievable as in no, sorry, Bundy. I think Bundy was only intimidating until WrestleMania 2. I think if you go into the main event and you lose, I don't know, it's over, right? I mean, what else could they do with Bundy? Do they turn him a good guy? Do they make... Sure, I would have liked to seen good guy Bundy, firing Heenan. Maybe everybody fires Heenan. Orndorff fired him. Ken Patera fired him. Maybe Bundy could have fired him and turned face. That would have been fun to see a good guy Bundy. "What do you think about a possible heel turn for the Killer Bees in 88? I looked at this question. I thought about it. B. Brian Blair has heel abilities, I think. I think Blair has a cockiness and an arrogance about him that could have been worked a little bit more. I'm watching him in Mid-South right now, and he's just a tough guy. So Blair, I think the Killer Bees turned Blair into a cartoon character, but Brian Blair was a legit tough guy, I think. I think he was a legit wrestler, but I think they could have worked like the tough guy, bar fighting Brian Blair. Be Brian Blair, bar fight Brian Blair. Jim Brunzell, I think, would have been a tougher heel, or a tougher heel to convince me that he was a heel. Whatever I just said. It'd be harder to believe Jim Brunzell is a bad guy. I could see the Killer Bees breaking up and Brian Blair being the bad guy. I guess they could be bad guys because they keep working the mask angle and the fans get sick of it, and maybe they put them against a good guy tag team and face versus face, and they use the they use the mask to cheat and the crowd just gets upset about it. Maybe, but I think Blair would have been more believable as a bad guy than Jim Brunzell. And then finally, Brandon says, have you ever watched the NWA WCW pay-per-views, especially the ones from the 80s? I've watched them, sure. I've seen all of them. I watched NWA from 84 to close for my discs, my tape trading days. So I've seen every single, I can safely say I've seen every single NWA WCW pay-per-view that ever was, because I watched that straight through about 10 years ago. Back then, I didn't get them. I don't know if they were readily available on our cable network. They were only in a few markets in the beginning, the NWA pay-per-views. So like Starrcade and things like that they weren't in every market for pay-per-view. The first NWA pay-per-view I got was the RoboCop Sting deal. That was the first one I got. And because I was a big fan then. That was a great era. So that was the first one I got when RoboCop came out. And then I think later on in life, I'm sure I ordered some as a 20-year-old or something, but I've definitely seen them all because I watched the whole season. All right. That's Brandon. Thank you for the questions. My man Stephen Brown, obviously go check out his channel. He asks a very serious question. He says, what you going to do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? And I've been thinking about it. And I don't know. Hulkamania had an opportunity to run wild on me when I met him. And he just took a picture with me and shook my hand. So I don't know. I maybe nothing, because is he really gonna run wild? I don't know. But thank you for the question, Stephen Brown. Thank you. All right, folks. My man Michael Rea. You have seen Michael Rea in the comments. You have seen him in the comments. You've seen him in the Brian Hardy collection video from Maryland that I did. Michael Rea has been a longtime friend of the channel. And he's got a couple of questions before we get into the big one. He says, when do you think you'll interview the jobber wrestler that you've said in many shows? Well, so I got, we did Magnum TA, we did Greg Gagne because of Steve Rosenthal from Remco and Power Town. He set up those interviews for me. Then I had no way of contacting anybody. I had no way of reaching out to people and trying to get interviews set up. I enjoyed the Magnum TA and the Greg Gagne interview very much. It was very surreal. And I think I did an okay job, right? I think my style would be different than other shoot interviews. I don't want a 5-hour shoot interview where we talk about, did you like grow up a wrestling fan? How'd you get started in the business? Memories of working with Big John Studd. Memories of working with Junkyard Dog. Bill Watts, what was he like to work for? I don't want to. Those are boring. And I got good feedback from Magnum TA. He said this was different and it was fun, and so that was huge. So that made me want to be like, I want to do this more. But I just don't know how to get in touch with anybody. So then I got back on Facebook and I messaged a couple of people. I messaged Mario Mancini and I messaged Gary Michael Capetta. And Gary Michael Capetta got back to me. I don't even think Mancini's read the message. Capetta got back to me and he said, we'll do it. It's free. I don't charge. He's like, pick a day. And he's like, I'm using an external camera because the camera on my laptop doesn't work. So I don't, so now I'm worried that Zoom won't work. And to do to have Zoom for longer than like 20 minutes, you have to buy the Zoom so that you can have an unlimited screen recording or an unlimited interview. If you just get the free Zoom, you got it for like 20 minutes and then it shuts down. Then you have to send a new link to the person. And I think that's just annoying for them. And Gary Capetta said, if you asked 1,000 times, I'll just answer them quickly, and so we can move on. And so I was like, well, all right, I don't want to buy the Zoom package, and I don't know. So I don't know if I'm going to do it. I think it would add too much stress. I don't know. Like, I got to come up with the question. I could do that and I could have a good conversation. I just dread the moment where it goes bad and somebody just like gets mad at me and it's like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing, kid. Like, that would be annoying because I'm not taking this seriously. you know. So I don't know. We'll see. I never got back to Mr. Capetta on a date, so I probably kind of blew that. But I don't know. I don't know. I just like talking with you guys. I don't know. Would you consider interviewing Bobby Starr or Brian Hardy? So Bobby Starr and Brian Hardy, I met. Well, I know Brian obviously, but when we did Brian's Wrestling Collection live from Maryland a couple of years ago, Bobby Starr was one of the guests. Bobby Starr is a longtime wrestler. He did a lot of stuff in WCW for WCW television. Wrestled Sting on Saturday Night, I think, and good guy. And he's friends with Brian. Would I consider interview? Of course I would. Yeah, but like I said, it's nerve-wracking, and I got to get all the setup right, and I got to buy the Zoom package, and I'd love to talk to both of them. I know Brian would do it, but it's just it's work. You know what I mean? It's like. And this is just fun, and I'm such a, I don't know, I'm so against any kind of work, which just sounds awful. But it's like I don't want to make something fun or make something that's supposed to be fun, make it into work, and I don't want to upset anybody, and I don't want the interview to go wrong, and then I don't know. But it could open doors. It could be like a thing. Right? I mean, the Gagne Magnum interviews didn't open any doors. Nobody like reached out to me and said, interview me, you're so great. But it got something going in me that I wanted to do it. But I had to actually have a couple of glasses of wine during both of those interviews so that I was relaxed. Seriously. So, Michael says, have you seen John Carpenter's Thing movie from the 80s? Yeah, and this is going to be controversial. This might even be more controversial than your next question. I don't like The Thing. I don't get it. I don't get the big deal about it. And I know that will upset a lot of people. I'm going to watch it again, and maybe even again, but I don't get it. I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know. But I'll watch it again. And I was excited. I don't think I got the 4K. I don't even, is it out on 4K? But I remember buying it and being like, all right, I'm going to watch this and see what the deal is. And then I was just like, I still don't know what the deal is. So I'll watch it a couple times and see what I think. All right, folks, here we go. Now, again, it's cut off. But I remember your question. So again, and I reached out to Michael and I said, are you sure you want me to do this? And he said, yeah. And in fact, he said something very complimentary. He said, look, you share your personal life on the channel. So, and you're a professional. He called me, which is always nice to hear when somebody calls me a professional. And so he wanted some feedback. So here we go. He says, my mother gave me up the day I was born. She didn't want anything to do with me. Is it bad that when she passed, I really didn't feel a loss or grieve? Now that's where the question is cut off, but that's about it. Is it wrong that Michael did not feel a loss for his mom? The rest of the question indicated that his mom reached out a few times, but only during times that would benefit her, it seems. So my mother gave me up the day I was born, didn't want anything to do with me. Is it bad that when she passed, I really didn't feel a loss? And she'd come around a few times throughout his life. I don't know the level of role that she played in his life during adulthood. So he wants to know, is it bad? Is it bad that when she passed, I didn't feel a loss? Well, first of all, um, that your feelings about something are yours. They don't have a good or bad. They don't have a ranking because they're your feelings. So I think you want to know, should I feel bad? Or, is it wrong that I felt bad? Is there something wrong with me that I felt bad? Is maybe more of what you're wondering. Because whatever you feel is yours. That's not for anybody to decide. Those are opinions, right? So this can go one of two ways. Because I think our culture, this country, and other countries and other cultures, many cultures have a feeling about family that's more of a permanent. They are permanent people in your life. There are some cultures and some people who believe that you do anything for your family. You're always there for your family. You've got their back no matter what. You fight, you make up. They're always going to be there. No matter what they do, they're just your family. And then there are some people, and it's probably half. So we got half over here, and the rest say, no, family's not permanent. Their label is permanent, but their position in your life is not permanent. They have to earn a position in your life just like anybody else does. And if a family member is toxic, or if a family member is bad for you, then you have every right to detach from them. Mother, father, sibling, if they hurt you, if they bring negative to your life, you detach from them. So we're split as a culture, or as a society, or maybe even as a world, we're split. And you probably know this from previous episodes, I'm with the group that says if somebody's bad for you, detach from them, as hard as that may be. So I'm assuming that you had an opportunity to talk to your mom at some point about why she did what she did. Now, it doesn't sound like from the email that your mom made much of an effort to rewrite her wrongs. It doesn't sound like she made much of an effort to throw herself at your feet and ask you to forgive her for abandoning her child. Doesn't sound like she did that. Doesn't sound like she sent you a letter with a long, heartfelt explanation of why she did what she did. Doesn't sound like she spent 10, 15, 20, 30 years making up for her mistakes or her decisions. Doesn't sound like she did that. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can communicate with me and tell me if I'm wrong about that. But it doesn't sound like she did. I don't think that it's easy to forgive if you don't have an explanation, if you don't have an apology, if you don't have, at least some kind of understanding about what she was. Was she young? Was she 17 years old when she had you? That puts a little bit of a different spin on it, right? What were the reasons why she abandoned her child? Youth, addiction, lots of other behaviors that potentially cause a mom to abandon their child. Did you find out the details of why? But again, regardless of the reasons why, regardless if she wrote you the 30-page letter, regardless if she begged you for forgiveness, you are the only one that gets to make the decision about how you feel. Right? And the feelings are never concrete. I'm sure you've flip-flopped back and forth all through your life about should I, shouldn't I? I'm sure you've been sad about this. I'm sure you've felt loss. I'm sure you've reached out to other mother figures. But you're the only one who decides your feelings. And I think you just have to be ready to deal with other people's opinions. Because again, there's going to be a split opinion. There's going to be people who say, you can't do that. That's your mom. You only have one mom. You know, you've got to forgive her. You've got to, because when she dies, you're going to feel bad. Well, you just proved that didn't necessarily happen. And we'll get back to that in a minute. And then you're going to have other people who support you fully and say, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I wouldn't want a relationship with her either. It's too painful, right? How can a person expect to have feelings about somebody that they didn't know, right? Or that they didn't connect with? A relationship has to be nurtured. It has to be watered. It has to be maintained in order for love to exist, no matter who that person is, if it's your mother, if it's your father, if it's your brother, sister, husband, wife, best friend, that relationship has to be nurtured. Now, what about a relationship with your child? Does that relationship have to be nurtured? I would think so. I would think so. It's hard to imagine right now, but I would think so. So how could you expect yourself to have feelings about your mom when she passed when you didn't know her? Or when you didn't develop a relationship with her? You could grieve the fact that you don't have a mom anymore or didn't really have one. You could grieve the fact that there'll never be, a relationship with her that you might have wanted or deserved. You could feel anything you want about that stuff, and you've probably felt like that ever since you were a kid. But don't put any guilt on yourself for not feeling something that you didn't have an opportunity to develop. You can't feel for somebody that you don't know. Or you can't feel for somebody that hurt you so bad that you just hadn't developed any feelings for them. Make sense? But don't question your feelings. They're yours. They're yours. You just have to, if you want, you have to deal with both sides of the fence. People are going to have opinions both ways. But your feelings are your feelings. And hopefully you've been able to connect with another mother figure in your life. Your in-laws, a stepmom, a grandmother, somebody. Hopefully you were able to have some mothering throughout life. And I'll bet that you have. I'll bet that you attached to some female throughout your life to make up for your mom. And by that point, when she came back around in your life, it's too late. Too late. We got one life. We got one shot at this. Toxic people drain us of happiness, of energy, of motivation, of joy, of everything. Drain us. Just because you have a label of mother or father or brother or sister does not mean that you have a permanent place in somebody's life if you don't deserve it, if you don't earn it, if you don't bring positive things. Then it's okay to go. All right. Hopefully that brings you some peace. Michael Rea, can't thank you enough for putting yourself out there and giving us some good content. Got lots and lots of questions, folks, and lots more that I haven't printed out yet. I'll do a better job printing out because I don't want to deal with cutoff questions. We gotta I don't want to deal with cutoff questions. That's not fair to you guys who put in all the effort. All right, folks, that's the power hour, the half-hour power hour. To a T, it seems, on the dot half hour. Thank you to Michael Rea, to Brandon, and to Stephen Brown for your questions. And we will see you all next week on the Power Hour, and Monday on the Big Show. That's right, we'll be back. All right. We will see you all later. Good night now.